Town Council will continue work on the fiscal 2017 budget this week, and we hear from Town Manager Tom Lynch on this episode of Barnstable Today. It's Monday, May 2nd, 2016. I'm Sarah Mannel. Approval of the proposed fiscal 2017 capital improvement plan is expected to be complete this week. The final two projects received approval from the Community Preservation Committee last week. Community preservation funds will be used to renovate the Lombard Fields and for new windows at the West Barnstable Community Building. The items will be up for final approval at this Thursday's Town Council meeting. Well, how do you feel about parking in downtown Hyannis? The Growth Management Department is leading a study in hopes of finding solutions to parking challenges in our downtown area. In 2 weeks, residents, business owners, and employees, and all other interested parties are invited to attend an open house at Town Hall to discuss the future of parking in our busy downtown. The open house will take place from 4 to 8 p.m. with a formal presentation and introduction to the parking effort at 6. For further information, you can visit townofbarnstable.us. Well, to find out the latest from the town manager's office, Channel 18's Sarah Colvin sits down with town manager Tom Lynch.
So a couple of things from last week, of course, the operating bar, the operating
yes,
budget.
you reported on that a little earlier. You know, it's at the printer. Expecting them back early this week. Our budget action calendar called for it getting to the the town council by May 5th, so they'll have 2 weeks to look at it before there's a first reading, and really a whole month to look at it before we begin at the first meeting in June with debate and discussion of it. So that means the CFAC will have about a month to look at it before they have to do a public comment on it as well. So it's about $181 million, 2.75% increase, which basically means when you look at all of the contractual obligations and fixed costs that we have, it's about a level funded budget. So we'll be looking at all those aspects, and perhaps at a future Barnstable this morning we'll go over some of the specifics in there, because there are a lot of good projects, but I want the council to have a chance to look at it first and see how it matches up with their goals and objectives that they set out for us to look at.
Fantastic. So we'll stay tuned for that.
Yes.
Friday, of course, was Arbor Day, and I know you were down at Barnstable High School with our tree warden, Charlie Genitosio, planting a couple of new trees down there at the Cobb Astro Park.
Well, it was nice this year because Mike Gyra brought out, and a couple of the other teachers brought out several classes out to listen to the proclamation and comments from Charlie regarding the 2 trees that were planted. And, Charlie's retiring later this year from as tree warden. And, he's going to have had a career where he can look back at thousands of trees that have been planted and know that gee, that was there, that he put that as a small seedling, if you will, and 20 years ago, and look where it is now, So, but the Dan Santos was there, and assistant town manager Mark Ells, Judy Search from the Central Beautification Committee was the MC. So it all went very nicely, and it's just a reminder that how beautiful that Cobb Astro Park is, and this with 2 additional trees, flowering trees that will be there. So and I think one thing that's good is when the young people see someone like Charlie who's so passionate about that, the environment and the contribution that trees make, and it makes them perhaps pause and say, boy, here's someone who's devoted his life to beautification efforts and trying to plant the right tree in the right spot, and so it was really nice. It was uplifting.
Nice to celebrate the Arbor Day, for sure. So this is some interesting news that we read in the paper over the weekend. A possible sports complex planned, and of course, I grew up in a Green Bay Packers fan household, so to have the former coach of the Green Bay Packers here on Cape Cod is I think it's a pretty cool thing. And he's involved in the sport complex, from what I understand.
Is the Pack back?
I think so.
You know, I had a call from Jeff Spillane from the Cape Cod Times who was asking for some comment on that. And on the one hand, you know that you know, additional youth and sport activities that can be in our community will be beneficial. And I think the Cape Cod Chamber has looked at various ways that in travel patterns of you know, families, and they'll come for specific events. And having a venue there that can add to the indoor and outdoor facilities that we presently have could definitely be beneficial. They're talking about another sheet of ice. We, of course, have the two at the Hyannis Youth and Community Center. So will there be competition? We'll have to see. You know, it will, it'll depend on what sort of programming they're thinking of bringing in. So we'll be more than happy to meet and share information that we've had on our marketing and the success of our venue here in Hyannis, and see how compatible and ways that we could partner and work together. So it's an ambitious you know, project. I know that one thing we found is that right after the Youth and Community Center had opened, we found that the desire for certain indoor sports like indoor soccer or you know, roller derby or things of that nature came in, and things that perhaps we couldn't accommodate very well in our facility. So we certainly want to share with them as they look to put together their operation, you know, gaps that we saw that they might be able to fill. So
very interesting.
Well, and I think if they're going to do maybe year-round baseball or things like that, that would be in some sort of domed gym or outdoor or area like that that's normally where outdoor sports are played, I think there could be a very strong market for that and throughout the Cape.
Absolutely, and I know, you know, there was an attempt to do something similar in the Golden Triangle of Sandwich, but that for some reason that area is just doomed. You know, it's very difficult to do development out there. So interesting. Certainly, we'll have to kind of see how that would work in terms of working with the HYCC. Would it be competition? But certainly, I know, as you mentioned, the Chamber, they had been talking about that whole sports tourism thing, and as we've seen with the success of the Hockey East tournament that have been here and all of the sports events that are here, people do want to come for sports.
Well, and you know, Hyannis is well suited with our you know, restaurants and motels to be able to accommodate groups that are going to use this as a travel destination to do a you know, particular form of sports, you know, competition. So we're very cognizant of making sure that we have good ball fields and indoor operations, and we're going to keep, we've used our capital budget to build those up, whether it's Lombard Field or Lopes or, you know, Osterville, ways that we can, you know, have the best fields that we can. So this will be something else to hopefully offer to, you know, to our families here, and we'll see how that develops. And as you pointed out in your newscast, the you know, the Little League had its opening. We were off Cape and unable to enjoy that, but you know, I went by to see the Scudder Bridge, if you will, you know, yesterday, and you know, there were kids out playing, and what a great complex.
It really is. It
just gets better and better over there.
It's fantastic over there.
So much volunteerism.
Indeed, it's amazing. Yeah. So the last thing to talk about, of course, we've been paying attention to the story. I went over to see these uncovered murals that the artist Vernon Coleman had created in the old Mayflower restaurant, and now you know, there was some concern as to whether or not they could be saved, and now we hear they are going to be preserved.
Well, and I just want to give a public thank you to all the community members who came together, and Mr. Pappas, who owns the building, and the owners of Cacades, who came down and said, yeah, we're community minded and spirited, and if there's something we can do to save them, we're willing to step to the plate and do that. So looks like there's a restorationist on board, and they're going to include that into their building plan. I think as people go to the restaurant, they'll be able to see this piece of historic Hyannis that we were able to save, and it was just something that was very gratifying to see come together.
We'll be sure to tune in to our hour-long news program, Barnstable This Morning, weekdays at 8 a.m. On tomorrow's show, we will chat with Police Chief Paul McDonald. We'll talk with DPW Director Dan Santos. Plus, we'll have all the news and information you need. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Mantle.